Coming up next, we're putting the spotlight on an iconic 80s anthem ditty created by an artist who caught the attention of two of the most famous singers in recorded music history before he was even a teenager. This song, from its mysterious lyrics that most of us have been mumbling through because we have no idea what this singer is singing, to its unforgettable synth riff, this track didn't just define a decade, it's become a cultural staple. And it also ignited sales for the accessory that the song is about. It was a total accident. Actually, the song was first about a wet cigarette. That was the name of a wet cigarette. And it turned into something else entirely. It was a last-minute studio session that turned into a smash hit, and one that made the artist really famous, but many still think he's a one-hit wonder, even though he's had 8 more hits in the decade, including one that was even bigger than this one. Find out the story coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember trying to create a masterpiece on your Etch-a-Sketch or the Animator, do you have one of those? You're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the red button and click the bell so you always know when our latest and greatest come out. Also, check us out on Patreon and our merch below. We have some great interviews coming out. I'm really excited about this. So picture this. A starry-eyed 19-year-old from Montreal, Canada, recording in a studio near Manchester, England on the cusp of turning 20. He held in his hands a cassette with the finished recordings of 11 original tracks. It was his debut album. It was titled First Defense. But there was still one more song to come, track number 12. A track that evolved into a classic hit of the neon decade that every 80s kid knows by heart. A song that Bono and Jack Nicholson would take quite literally. Sunglasses at Night by a man that many wrongly call a one-hit wonder. He wasn't. He had several other hits, including one that's just as big, actually bigger than Sunglasses at Night. Let's get into Corey Hart. Sunglasses wasn't written yet, but the idea was already brewing deep in his creative subconscious. It rained almost every day during those sessions in the UK, and though he had a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses with him, he actually never got a chance to wear them. Those shades, however, were destined for something greater than just shielding his eyes from the sun. Now, Corey got his start early on, singing Ben, the song that Michael Jackson took to #1 for the great Tom Jones in Miami, when he was only, get this, 11 years old. At about that same time, Corey was also recording tracks with Paul Anka in Las Vegas. He met Anka through his sister, who was performing at an Ice Capade show. She was actually an Olympic figure skater from Canada and mentioned her younger brother's singing talent to Paul Anka, and that sparked the collaboration. He was probably returning the favor. Sinatra did the same for him, Paul Anka.
I don't care what they say, 'cause forever.
Those classic performers, Anka and Jones, were very impressed by this young lad. By 1980, he was representing Canada at the World Popular Song Festival in Tokyo. It's where he performed his original material for the very first time. Back in Canada, he actually reached out to Billy Joel, who was touring in Montreal. Joel's backup band took an interest in Corey Hart, and he ended up recording several demos with them in Long Island, New York. After working with various Canadian studio musicians, he finally signed with Aquarius Records in 1982 at just 20 years of age. The songs on his first album, including The World Is Fire, they capture really the struggles and rejections he faced on his way to landing that record deal. He'd been in the industry for almost a decade at this point. As I mentioned before, Corey was nearly done with First Offense, but he didn't rest. He continued to write and demo new material even in the final stages. One of those demos started with the phrase, "My cigarette is wet." While the phrase itself didn't stick, it actually sparked a melody that would eventually become Sunglasses at Night. Can you imagine if the song would have been "My cigarette is wet"? Not quite the same, but Corey picked up a pair of Ray-Ban Wayfarer sunglasses, the iconic brand that had made a big comeback in the 80s, but there was nothing but cloudy days when he was in London, so he didn't have much of a chance to wear them, which was a bummer because he really liked them. Now, later that summer, when Corey went back to Canada, his first album was finally in the hands of Aquarius Capitol Records, and the buzz was really good at this point. Everyone seemed really pleased with the results. But Corey Hart, being the creative powerhouse that he was, he couldn't stop the flow of new ideas even after the album was technically finished. He started playing around with a melodic line with that quirky phrase that popped into his head, "My cigarette got wet." Really ironic because Corey had never smoked a day in his life. Now, little did he know that this odd little idea was the seed of something a lot bigger. He even recorded a demo for Wet. And while it had many of the musical elements that would eventually evolve into Sunglasses at Night, Corey wasn't completely sold on it at the time. It was just kind of a spark, one that would soon ignite into a full-blown hit, a cultural hit. Corey vividly recalled how after returning to Canada, he felt compelled to write a new song. He wrote Sunglasses at Night and immediately knew it had to be on this debut album he's about to release. He explained that there was just something about the riff, some kind of magic. Corey revealed that it was one of the few songs where he actually envisioned the video while he was composing it. This was the 80s, so MTV was big. He had what one might call a gut feeling from the start. The Sunglasses at Night was going to be really, really special. Now, the melody of Wet Cigarette started to take on a cooler vibe once the new lyrics came into play, and Corey tweaked a few chord progressions that made it even stronger. He was stressed out because he knew that he had to get this song on his debut album, but the problem was, they'd already blown through the entire recording budget. Still, he just couldn't shake the feeling that this track needed to be included. So he decided to call the label first thing in the morning, and he pled his case.
Official Corey Hart Sunglasses from Canada for you, mate.
Corey Hart was really gifted at weaving dark themes and powerful lyrics that said a lot without spelling it all out. His lyrics, they leave something to the imagination. Now, the gist of Sunglasses at Night is that the narrator is letting his girl know that he's onto her tricks. The shades are a badge, really, of his keen instincts and his ability to see through her deception. The unique chorus of the song is particularly eloquent with a tinge of mystery. Several mysteries, actually. One is, what the hell is Corey singing? I can't tell you how many times this song has come on with various friends or family members throughout the years. We're all singing it to the top of our lungs, and then we get to this part. So what Corey is actually singing here is don't switch the blade on the guy in shades. Also, don't masquerade with the guy in shades. And I can't believe it because you've got it made with the guy in shades. Nobody I've ever been around when listening to the song has ever sung those lyrics correctly. Nobody. Actually, my autistic son may have. There was one time where he was pointing out that my wife was singing incorrectly, but you get the point. Of course, the music video is so cool. It's kind of Orwellian and really kind of creepy with everybody wearing the sunglasses and all that. So despite being a new artist, Aquarius Records had faith in Corey's instincts. They made the call to send him back to England, trusting that his gut feeling was on to something special. Once he was there, producers Phil Chapman and John Astley worked their magic, tapping into the pulse of the UK's vibrant early 80s music scene. And they really captured the essence of the era, bringing out the best in the track and turning it into something that is truly iconic, truly unforgettable. Everybody knows this song and they sing it immediately. Now, John Astley was already a major player in the music industry by the time he teamed up with Corey Hart. His resume boasted work with names like Deborah Harry and ABBA and George Harrison and The Who, Eric Clapton, many, many others. Plus, he and Corey bonded over their shared stories with, about Tom Jones, adding a personal touch to their professional collaboration. Phil Chapman teamed up with John Astley quite often. He had a strong pedigree in his own right. In addition to co-producing Corey Hart's First Defense LP, it was Phil who delivered the distinctive synth opening in Sunglasses at Night. Unforgettable, undeniable. Phil also added an interesting twist to the story of Sunglasses at Night and its title. He revealed that during the recording sessions for the album, they were working in a studio where the air conditioning vents were positioned right above the mixing console, right? And the constant airflow from the vents made it uncomfortable for the crew. So they started wearing sunglasses, to shield their eyes from kind of the wind coming through. Watching this, Corey Hart, who was in the midst of crafting the song, turned the cigarette song into I Wear My Sunglasses at Night. Very memorable line.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Andy Barnett performed the tasty lead guitar parts on the track, and he also played with a later assembly of Visage, a new romantic band based in the UK. When November 1983 rolled around and the song was finally released, Corey had a memorable first listen. Actually, it's a funny story. He was driving around Montreal, eagerly tuning into Chom FM. The track started to play and he cranked up the volume. He was so excited about this, but his enthusiasm got the best of him. Within about 30 seconds, his car speakers blew out because he was playing the song. It's so loud. It was a dramatic introduction to a song that was about to make history. Corey realized that he had a hit on his hands. This is when he landed at Detroit Airport in June of '84. This was kicking off his first U.S. tour as the opening act for Rick Springfield. The moment he stepped off the plane, he was swarmed by excited fans everywhere. The crowd was so intense that security had to step in and kind of help him navigate through the terminal and to catch his connecting flight. He almost missed it. Corey described the experience as surreal. That summer, as he traveled across the U.S. on an extensive radio and concert tour, his song steadily climbed the Billboard charts and eventually landed in the top 10.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Sunglasses at Night evoked the magic that Corey was convinced that it would. He knew it was going to be a hit, and he was exactly right. Radio loved it. It was catchy, it was cool, it was unique, it was mysterious. The single scaled all the way to number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. It went to number 16 in Australia and number 17 in New Zealand. Surprisingly, it wasn't as big in Canada as you might have thought. The song was basically a mid-chart, went to number 24, but he became an instant star in Canada. He was nominated for 4 Juno Awards in '84, including Male Vocalist of the Year, Composer of the Year, Single of the Year, and won the award for Video of the Year. 1984 was actually the first year that the Juno Awards featured the category for Video of the Year, so he won it as a rookie. The video, directed by Rob Courtley, was a huge part of the national success of Sunglasses at Night. It was one of the most played videos on MTV in America and Much Music in Canada.
Track of the visions in my eyes.
Apparently, it even pumped up the sales of sunglasses all over North America, virtually overnight. I always wondered why Ray-Ban didn't take more advantage of that and build a whole campaign around it. That would have been cool. Now, there's been a lot of pop culture usage of Sunglasses at Night, including placement in Miami Vice, of course, Future Man, the pilot of Scream Queens, Daria, Charles in Charge, the cult favorite Nip Tuck, and of course in an episode of Stranger Things.
What?
Oh, you are. Oh, Steve.
2010 Miller Lite featured Sunglasses at Night in one of their Man Up commercials, one of their funnier ones. The ad humorously portrays a guy at a bar who's caught wearing sunglasses, which is deemed unmanly. As the song plays, he initially tries to play it cool and act like he doesn't like it, but it's clear he can't help but sing along like we all do. Even though Sunglasses at Night is arguably Corey's biggest hit in the US, he's definitely not a one-hit wonder. I mean, it's funny how many people call him a one-hit wonder. I mean, there's a lot of one-hit wonder countdowns that have Sunglasses at Night in them. He's clearly not a one-hit wonder. Actually, between 1984 and 1988, he scored 9 top 40 hits in America, 8 big ones. His biggest American hit was Never Surrender from his second album, which rose to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it an even bigger hit than Sunglasses at Night. And it was also used on Stranger Things, and you still hear it today.
To never surrender.
Never Surrender was a massive hit. Interestingly, Corey actually came up with the title before he wrote any of the verses. The inspiration behind the title came from Winston Churchill, whom Corey deeply admired. During the doom and gloom of World War II, when the United Kingdom was reeling from horrific air bombings by Nazi Germany, Churchill's rallying cry of never surrender, that inspired a nation to persevere.
We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Never Surrender was so big in Canada. I mean, it went to the top of the charts for 9 weeks. It became his highest charting single in the US. And the track also claimed the top spot on the sales only chart for 1 week in 1985. So it was a #1 hit. It won a Juno Award for Single of the Year. And it was certified platinum in Canada, selling over 100,000 copies. Up north, like I said, Sunglasses at Night was not even close to being his biggest hit, but it paved the way for 3 #1 singles in Canada for Corey. First, there was Never Surrender at 9 weeks at #1, followed by Everything in My Heart, and then Can't Help Falling in Love. Now, Sunglasses at Night was licensed for the 2002 video game Grand Theft Auto Vice City, featured on the in-game radio station Wave 103. New Music Express journalist Mark Beaumont noted that the game played a big role in boosting the song's profile from the 80s to a new generation of fans. That's for sure. Fast forward to 2024, and German-American model and TV host Heidi Klum put her spin on the track with a fresh production by Dutch DJ Tiesto. So Corey shared a fun story about a time that he heard his song while riding on one of those packed rental car shuttle buses that we all dread. Corey was heading to pick up his rental car at Miami Airport when David Bowie's China Girl was playing on the radio. He was with one of his kids. As Bowie's song faded out, the unmistakable intro of Sunglasses at Night took over the airwaves. Some folks on the bus even started tapping their feet. They were completely unaware that the singer or the author of the song was sharing the bus ride with him. Corey actually glanced over at his 13-year-old daughter, and they both had huge smiles on their faces. He said it still feels super cool to hear his song even after all these years. Today, Corey has a multifaceted life away from the crazy music business. He's been married to his wife since 2000, and he has 4 children. The most important thing to him is family and his dog. In fact, he hosts a podcast called Walks with My Dog Alaska. That's described as a stream of consciousness podcast while Corey walks with his dog around their home in the Bahamas to share stories and anecdotes, from his personal life and his music career memories and such. In the sunshine of the Bahamas, it's much easier for Corey to wear his sunglasses. Hey, probably even at night. Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Corey Hart and Sunglasses at Night. What are your thoughts? What are your memories of this song? How many people think he's a one-hit wonder? Man, I cannot believe how many times I've heard that. I've heard that about him and Rich Springfield. I'm like, they both had many hits. It's just crazy. But let's have a great discussion and celebrate Corey Hart's music. What else would you like to see? If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.